I never thought I would see an unreached people group in my lifetime, but I was able to see one when we went to Romania. And Aaron Brewski told me that they were really doing a lot of ministry to the unreached people groups known as the gypsy villages. And I was just overwhelmed by seeing really the lack of the presence of the gospel in these villages and the effect that it has on people's lives and their lifestyles and just their natures, and being able to witness that. God allowed me to connect to a particular gypsy. His name was Kina, and he was actually in the orphanage, and we got to meet him at the Brewski's home, and God really used him in my life in a powerful way to really see our responsibility, because God has entrusted us with so much of the gospel that we really must give that gospel back to them, and to see these villages become reached versus unreached.
Move us into action. We must go. To act justly every day.
One of the things that really surprised me, that caught me off guard, was how hard it was going to be able to interact with the kids without being able to speak their language.
Walking humbly before you, God. You have shown us what you require. Freely we've received, now freely we will give. We must go.
The big thing that God taught me while I was there was like how much I take for granted. I always heard like I take a lot for granted, that we as Americans take a lot for granted, but it never became real to me until I went to Romania and I saw it with my own eyes.
Into action, we must go. Fill us up, send us out. Fill us up, send us out. Fill us up, send us out, Lord.
We were in Rontal one day handing out some candy, and there were children and their parents, probably 100 people, but many of them were just begging and reaching out around us, just begging and grabbing for a piece of candy. And these people are outcast, and it was just hard to deal with that, their need and their want. And to imagine how Jesus must have felt and the disciples felt when they walked through Samaria and the people were begging them for miracles and begging for healing. And it was just overwhelming to see the need and the lack of the gospel in that community.
Basically, so much of my life in the past relative to my practice, my family, everything, it was about me. Everything was always about me. And this was so much of a life-changing type of thing, to where now I know that it's not about me, and doing what God called us to do as far as helping with the widows and their orphans, and just a very impactful, life-changing type of experience.
Stand beside the broken, we must go. And keep us from just singing, move us into action. We must go. Hey.
Sunday morning when we got there and we went in church service, one young man was sitting there. His name was Colleen, and he just motioned for me to come sit down with him and to be there in church with him. And then later in the week, he made a profession of faith, and so it was just awesome to see, you know, the desire in his heart for affection, and you know, we had some time to play together, and it was just a lot of fun being able to do that, and to see being able to make an impact on one person's life, you know, and just to spend time with them.
Let's go. Hey. Oh.
saw several people who didn't have shoes, and we were to a reminder center, and I met this kid. He was 17 years old, and he'd never seen a puzzle.
I had a hard time not getting angry with them because of the way they were treating us, and they didn't appreciate what we were trying to do. But God showed me later that those people just, they're acting out what happens when there's a void and there's no gospel. And so my heart breaks for those people because they need the light and they're living in darkness.